Good afternoon, morning, evening, weekend, Friday afternoon, or whatever time you're listening to our new podcast, Made by Humans.
Or is it?
I'd like to thank our primary and first sponsor, Binary Advisors. Thank you guys very much for helping us pull this podcast together. Our goal is to uh, introduce you to topics of artificial intelligence. I prefer to call it machine intelligence, but we'll talk about why and other things like that. But first, I thought in this very first episode, it'd be kind of fun. Let me have my co-host introduce himself.
Hey, everybody. My name is Henry Bestritsky. I'm kind of like a person that's been around everything, and that's kind of weird to say with regard to technology, but that's what I thrive on, especially around data and how it actually can help people live better lives. And obviously, that's why AI is so attractive to me, not from the perspective of not only technology, but all the excitement that kind of comes around with it, which really drives me. So I'm super thrilled to do this, and I look forward to entertaining you with my wit and personality. Thank you, Scott.
Thanks, Henry. So, my name's Scott Anderson. I've been in the software world for more than 30 years, and in that time period, I've actually built two separate, or been directly on teams, built two separate architecture certifications that are available. One was called MCA, which was available from Microsoft many years ago. The other was called C2P, which is still available. You can go get it from the International Association of Software Architects if you wish. They're all over the world and hundreds of thousands upon thousands of members. But I've been doing this for a long time, and I want to kind of, as by way of my introduction, talk about what I used to do. Once upon a time, I was kind of one of the go-to people at Microsoft for the concept of Lotus Domino migrations. If you saw our logo, and you'll see Henry's background has the logo of our sponsor, Binary Advisors. Binary Advisors was obviously founded by Henry, and one of the things that he's done is in the past he used to be the co-creator of Binary Tree. Well, he didn't used to be; he's still the co-creator, but Binary Tree is not the tool it was once upon a time. But Binary Tree was a tool that I found one day while searching around for a better way to move mail and move objects in a Domino store to the Microsoft world, and Henry and I have been friends ever since. I mean, what is that
Oh,
now?
geez,
20,
I give him a fruit.
22
I give him
years
a
ago?
fruitcake. Well,
24?
yeah, man,
23 years ago?
has it been that long? And we're getting better and better looking every day, and
Every day,
hopefully,
every
with
single day.
AI, that could be continuously happening. For
Well, how do you know
anyway.
I'm not AI now?
Oh, that's a good point. I don't think AI can be so realistic.
Abrasive.
I was gonna
I
say
was
creepy. I don't know why.
creepy, abrasive. Yeah. No, I could. Thank you, Henry. What a great way to kick the. By the way, Henry and I actually do like each other. So when you
We
hear
do.
us rip on each other, it's because that's what we've been doing for 23 years now.
Yeah.
Especially, by the way, if you ever get the opportunity in Seattle, Washington, at 2 in the morning, drinking tequila at a bar, and at that point,
Yeah.
the riffs were flowing much faster than compliments and anything else.
Absolutely. But first of all, Scott, thank you for the lovely introduction. And to your point, yeah, because that collaboration has, helped us and helped people all over the world. One of the bigger ones we've done, I'm not going to mention the name, but imagine, transforming, migrating over 200,000 people in three geos in a matter of weeks. And to be able to do this, it requires just keen understanding of data technology working together. If you think about people, process, and technology, I think that's really where we shine. And when it comes to AI, I think that's getting further reinvented, I guess, in a very positive way from my perspective. So
Excellent. Well, I mean, for the first segment, I kind of wanted to, and you and I have talked a little bit about this, but I kind of wanted to introduce this device. No, they are not a sponsor. We don't introduce devices just because they sponsor us. We introduce them because we actually use them. So this
is
is
it
a
a
device.
shoehorn? What is that?
Uh,
No,
it
no,
is it
okay,
actually functions as a shoehorn.
okay.
So you can use it as a shoehorn. So it's a multi-purpose device, right? So let me take it out of the little leather case if I can. Um, easier said than done. So the device is called Plaud, Plaud. You can see it's a small little device. It's got the logo here on the front of the company. Um, and Henry's looking at me like, why are you talking about this device? We've talked about this before.
It looks like one of those vodka containers that you can sip, like one of those
Yeah.
flasks.
Well, the
So,
beauty of it is it's magnetic and it's designed. Oh, wait. No, you gotta have the case on. The case is magnetic, and the case is designed to stick on the back of your iPhone.
well, you can't see it because. But
Oh,
what
there.
is it? What does it do? What's a plug?
Okay.
What's a
So basically, this cool device actually allows you to have a Chat GPT interface. So when you record a meeting using this little device plugged on the back of your phone, or I've actually just sat in a conference room and held it up, you can literally take the recording, and it turns this into notes by speaker by timestamp. And the chat GPT system goes out and actually gives you very reliable notes. But the beauty of it is you also get an audio recording. So if you look at the notes, like there was one note I did in a meeting with a bunch of people, and there was a lot of ambient noise. And a couple of times words that the chat GPT system caught were not appropriate words, right? It was foul language. So what we did, right? What I did is I went back and replaced those words, but then I refined what I was able to do using this tool. So this is the first kind of thing I was wanting to talk about today was this concept not of this particular specific device. There's another iteration. This one is called Magma, and it actually records iPhone calls or Android phones directly. And again, magnet based, plugs on the back of your phone, and it has the software integrated
so,
on the device.
so
So another,
let's talk a little bit about that.
yeah.
You raise a really interesting point. Um, they're coming hard and fast. These particular devices that are obviously AI integrated. You mentioned something interesting. Some of them are just connected via Bluetooth, whatever, to your phone, which is then connected to ChatGPT. Other ones are on-device type of LLMs, which I think is going to be huge, considering what's going on with Microsoft with the models they're putting out, and how you can actually what Apple's going to come up with is going to be really interesting in terms of running everything on a mobile phone. um and what you're actually telling me, which is really cool, is it's helping you, it's helping a certain piece within your productivity within your life. Because what first came to my head is kind of like, okay, so that's great, why can't I just record this thing on an MP3 file, upload it, and to get the same thing? But in a sense, that's not the point. The point is it's easy, it's fast, it's unobtrusive. And the way I see it, with the new LLMs coming out, and things like Grok with a Q, it's going to be fast, it's going to be easy, it's going to be integrated, and hopefully with new battery technology, it's going to be wearable. So where's this heading, Scott? What's your opinion on this?
Well, I mean, and you're absolutely right. It's all about time saving, right? It's all about finding the holes, right? So for me, the big hole is I'm in a lot of meetings. And I have to be honest with you, after 30 years in the IT industry, it just drives me up a wall sideways when I sit through an hour-long meeting and there's no notes. Now, look, if I'm participating in the meeting and I'm heavily engaged and I'm listening, right? That's one thing. If I'm using, for example, live meeting like or Teams, as we are using right now for this particular podcast, we're recording this via Microsoft Teams. I can use Firefly, right? I can enable Firefly, have it join the meeting, and then it will create a transcript of everything that we've said. So what I think that is the initial phase, right? That's that first thing of gosh and golly, gee, this is really cool. But it, as you said, helps me. It makes my life easier. I can record and take notes and not have to worry about participating, because one of the things I've learned over the years is if I'm taking notes, I'm not participating in the meeting because I'm more focused on what Henry said.
You better be.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Well, that's out of fear, right? It's.
that is true.
But as it should be. But no, I mean, I'm more focused on what Henry is saying, or what Bob sitting next to Henry is saying, or what Jim down at the end of the table is saying. I'm not participating in the meeting. I'm taking notes. And that's okay if I'm not a valid or viable participant in a meeting. That's okay. I completely understand it. But if I'm supposed to be participating and I'm taking notes, I'm not doing anybody any good. And so that really frustrates me that there are often meetings and there are no notes, right? There's no end game for me to go back and go very quickly, right? Because, yeah, okay, I can listen to the audio recording. But anyway,
Well, but if you, I'm going to add on to this because I think this is a really, really important topic, and I'm going to admit I'm guilty. What am I guilty of? Well, a lot of things, but the ones I'm going to admit to is I got kind of waylaid with the shininess and the newness of AI. I wanted to know what these great agentic frameworks would do. What's a new version of RAG that's going to accomplish? How do I look at all my PDFs? And literally, I'm noticing more and more the little things that kind of help you do are just as important. They may not be as fancy or as shiny as helping you with an email, or you taking a picture of something and understanding what you're looking at and things like that, because it all kind of connects really well. I'm going to literally give you something you don't know, Scott. You're not going to talk about this later on, but one thing you didn't know is, with the client just now, had a Teams meeting. Obviously, transcribed it. I didn't have it with the client. I had it with a person that the client actually relies upon, and that whole transcript talked about all the issues that are currently with the company. I presented that particular transcript this morning just as part of conversation, bullet pointed what the issues are, and the guy goes, "I'm going to find more money. We got to get all this accomplished. Let's get the entire team together because what he listed is exactly what I want to fix." Now,
yeah.
what just happened, right? It drove revenue, made my life easier, and more importantly, it connected people together in a way that is incredible. So, to your point, Scott, I think one of the best things this thing does is to be your personal assistant, that sits there in the corner and just takes notes on so many different levels. So, I couldn't agree with you more.
And with Microsoft's Vasa, it can also be you on the meeting, which is kind of a scary thing, but
Better
it,
look at me.
yeah, well,
More
yeah,
like a
I'm gonna have mine shave and maybe trim this goatee a little bit so it looks normal. And then I'm gonna add more hair, right? So you've heard of the
uh,
hair transplants.
uh,
I'm gonna actually do an artificial intelligence hair addition.
just take it
Uh,
from your lower back and just put it on your head. That's what people do. So nobody,
oh well,
it'll be
yeah.
fine.
No,
Anyway,
thank you. I'll pass on that. Nice suggestion. Appreciate the
I, I,
the
just, I
hand
just,
offer, but
I just wanted the visual in people's head. So that's,
that's not a that is not a visual. That's what's going to drive people away from our podcast, not to our podcast.
let's talk about some scary discussion. You ready for
Sure.
some? eh, It's not Halloween, but it always worries me. It seems to be more and more obvious that this bit of a Game of Thrones that's kind of going on in the industry between Altman and Musk, um, and all those guys, Satya. Um, where's this heading from your perspective? I know it's a bigger picture, and I'm just kind of curious because everybody talks about it. Is this really going to be the battle of the billionaires, and whoever controls AI controls the world? It's like the ring, like my precious. Well, what do you think is going to happen? Is open source going to have a chance with any of this stuff going down? Because it's scary. It seems like everybody's rushing to AGI, and nobody's really driving the bus, and it's could go like either way. So I'm just kind of curious from your perspective.
Yeah, well, let's can we break the question? Let's break the question up into two
Yeah.
distinct questions, right? The first is the ethics, right? What are the ethics, governance, guardrails, and rules we need to have for AI, right? I think that's part of the end game that has to be played out. And then the other side is open source. And I'll start with open source if it's okay, because my answer to that has evolved radically in the last 30 days. Literally. 30 days ago, roughly, Meta released Llama 3. Now, I played with Llama 2. I actually had a local copy running. I did a lot of stuff with it. It was okay. But I could go and get much better information from Anthropic, from Claude 3, from ChatGPT, or from Copilot, Microsoft's Copilot, or even Gemini, which at the time, yeah, it was Gemini by then. I could get better information from those sources.
You didn't use
Then Llama,
Perplexity? anything
No,
or?
I never used Perplexity. It's on my list. I just haven't
Oh,
gotten
love
around
it.
to it. Yeah.
But I'm sorry to diverge. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna keep it. Keep going. Keep going.
No, that's okay.
What
So
you said?
the release.
Two parts. You divided the question
Right.
into.
Well, the first part was so Llama 3 changed my view on what open source can do because Llama 3 is okay. We can argue that it's limited open source, right? If you have less than 750 million subscribers, you're allowed to use Llama 3 for anything, right? Well, okay. Well, yeah. Okay. There's a few companies out there that have more than 750 million subscribers. Basically, Facebook said Microsoft, OpenAI, Google, thou shalt not, right? Any Baidu and some of the big Chinese companies, thou shalt
Uh,
not use.
I have never seen Zuckerberg so animated when he's talking about this stuff. He almost seemed like a
Oh
real
yeah,
human being.
it
So
does.
it's
He's not quite as plastic. He actually looks like he's sweating. So
yeah.
that's one, right? So I think open source is viable and remaining viable, right? So that's one. The other side is ethics. And this is one, I mean, I know because you and I used to have this argument about Lotus Domino and where the data was. And I know because and then over the years I have evolved on both sides of that argument. I know you've always been on the side that there's valuable data in Domino, and I've kind of was on your side for a long time, and then I kind of moved away from that because I figure anything that's been sitting in the enterprise for 20 years is no longer valuable data.
Hey,
Um,
are you talking about us or the? Oh, the data. I'm
well,
sorry.
I'm talking
Okay.
about the data,
So,
not
okay.
us.
Sorry.
No, I don't know that. I don't know after 20 plus years in the IT business, either one of us is relevant either. But that's a different argument.
Yeah.
So, but that's
But
kind
keep
of the
watching this
issue.
podcast.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. But yeah, please. So we need at least one follower to make
Yeah.
ourselves feel like we're at least doing one thing. But so the concept then, right, is data, right? And the reason I bring up data and the reason I kind of led into this with data is this concept of data maps directly to ethics, right? As we start thinking about what is it that we expect, right? And actually you beautifully said it when we were talking about cloud. It's a tool that makes you more effective, more efficient, right? That's really the goal. If we think about all of the different knowledge systems, all the different things that people have chased for all these years, right? You go to Google to find out something, right? I mean, I don't know about you. Now, maybe you do. I don't know.
I go to Perplexity, which
Yeah.
I'm actually going to go soon to ChatGPT because they're coming out with search, which is going to blow everybody out of the water. But we'll see where what that's going to
Yeah.
be like.
But you
So
go there to get information, right?
correct.
And so this right and you want known good information, right? I mean, you get what 15 ads and then three little nuggets of information, and you click on the first one and it's like 60% of what you wanted. So you go back and you refine your Google search or your Bing search, and you go okay, or your Perplexity search. Okay, well, what I really wanted was this, and okay, right? So
And considering a massive amount of data now on the internet is AI generated, it's getting. Ugh. But go ahead.
yeah.
To your
So
point.
all of this, right, comply. So right, why do I do things becomes important, and that's where these questionable little, not really questionable, but these little problem areas that we call ethics start to come up, right? How far should an AI system go, right? I mean, would we say, for example, would we accept an AI veracity engine that sat on political debates and shut off the microphone of people that lied? I mean, we'd have dead air on some of these debates for hours, right? You'd have 2 hour debate. You might hear, you know, hi, my name is, and then the rest of the debate would be silence, right? Because the veracity engine would just cut the lies off, right? They just stop the lying. So, how far do we want?
That's a good one. We should patent that. That's
Yeah. Well, yeah.
monitor the brain waves or something and figure out when people are lying, and then basically just cut them off,
Well,
or
actually, it's
make
really
them
easy.
mouth.
All you got to do, right? What they say, fact check it, and then release it, right? Because remember, broadcast TV has a 7-second delay. Most large language models could get that information in about 5 seconds and return it and cut the
Oh my
microphone
God,
off before.
7 second line delay. Wouldn't that be kind of
Yeah.
cool? We should patent that. That's a good one.
Well, we're
Anyway,
definitely right at first publication. Once this podcast is out, we've copyrighted the idea, so we're protected. That's the beauty of binary advisors. It's an umbrella of idea collection, right? Um,
I
anyway,
like that.
so
I
all
like
of this
that.
stuff, right? Yeah, all of this
It's like
stuff
an
is
umbrella
ethics.
academy. But I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I love that show. That is a great
Yeah,
show.
it's good. Remember, so
Very,
remember when they were dancing? Oh my God, it was so the dance off. I love
I, was-
Footloose.
I, I love that. That show is one that just makes me, because I love a show where the whole show is building up to saving the world, and then the world blows up. I mean and
Why
then it happens
you
the
just
next
killed you
episode.
just killed it for people. Some people haven't seen it.
Oh well, if you haven't seen Umbrella Academy, there's more to it than saving the world and having it blow up. There's
That's
a
true.
lot more
Okay,
to it.
okay. So to your point, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
That's okay.
Uh, you kind of brought up the whole point that's really s- pro- productivities. Here's the thing with me, right? So um I agree with you 100% obviously, but what's more interesting to me, it's a really great way to get people into AI because a lot of them are still pushing back. They got their heads in the sand. So to be able to give them something that is actually making them happy and productive in a very kind of nondescript, not intrusive way, I think that's where AI shines. I think that's why, what did what OpenAI do? They created a chatbot on top of an LLM that was around, and suddenly everything blows up. Giving people something easy to do is really key to AI success and it moving forward.
Yeah.
My only thing about ethics, frankly, and I wrestle with it, that's a different topic we'll have on a different show, is the geopolitics behind it. Because let's just say certain actors are not very ethical about AI, and and
Oh.
so are we playing by the Queensberry rules, right? Is that unfortunately, like I give you
Oh,
an example. I don't know if you read the news today or yesterday, but Microsoft gave a special LLM to the NSA and to the all the spy agencies in the government to do what they need to do, which is not connected to the internet. I'm not saying they did anything wrong, but I'm just saying, you got to look at it from multiple,
Well, what do you?
perspectives.
Yeah, and that's the ethical argument, right? Just how far are we willing to let AI go, right? Because the other side, right? And actually, you brought up the geopolitical, but there's a huge argument in the geopolitical space right now. Is would you allow an AI empowered drone decide to kill a human without a human being saying do it?
I,
Would you?
and unfortunately, I know what the answer is.
No,
If
but
the
would you do it? Would you,
if,
Henry, say, yeah, I authorize that? That's fine.
if the other AI, the competitor, is killing a bunch of my troops in the field and everywhere else with that technology, yeah, I would have to because I need to protect my country and my soldiers. So would I initiate it? Would I think about stuff like that? Oh man, it's a tough one. You really put me. Maybe that's your question because that's a good
Well,
one.
that's not my
Uh,
question, but that was a question for the day.
yeah, guys, if you're watching this, when I email us, it'll be in the description below. Um, Talk to us about it. Put something in the comments about how you feel about this stuff. Now, keep in mind, unfortunately, it's just going to be a race to the bottom. So if you want to give an excuse like I have, that's great. But it is what it is. Maybe there's a reason why the world's full of nuclear weapons, and the only thing that stops them is mutually assured destruction. Maybe that's the race. I don't know. Um, you know, but that's something to think about. It's a real uh, you know, tongue twister, again, brain twister, if you think of it from
That's a
that
tough
perspective.
question. It's a tough question. I think effectively I like your answer. I thought your answer was exactly what I would say, right? You said no, but and the but was if the other guy's doing it to me, I'm going to do it to him. But if I'm first, I'm not going to do it. So that I think, and the reason I brought that up, obviously, is that's an ethical line, and that's one of the ethical lines. And I think as we head down this path to answer your original question, right? What do we need to do here? What's going to happen? We got to draw clear and concise ethical lines that we will not allow AI to cross because we will not allow human beings to cross. And we all know, right? You brought it up. You said there's bad actors. There's bad faith organizations, states, and nations in the world that are going to do things that are not necessarily by the numbers, by the book. And I wonder now if we don't need the velvet glove of law and the iron fist of enforcement. And when you violate that with AI, I know, well, it didn't work in the US, but remember many years ago, the US said, you commit a crime with a gun, it adds 5 years, 10 years automatically to your sentence, right? A robbery by being, well, obviously I would never be able to do this because I'm not big, tall, and intimidating, but a big, tall, intimidating person performing a robbery, if they do it with a knife, it adds it adds 2 years. It was
Well, that's
way
why
different
white
then.
collar
Yeah.
crime is different, even though they could hurt a lot of people by stealing $100 billion from mom and pop. It's not like a violent crime. And you're right. I like your
Yeah.
analogy, the velvet glove and the iron fist kind of thing. You know,
Yep.
yeah, it's at this stage, I like to be optimistic. I like to think that AI used for good, for cancer cure, hunger, climate, all that stuff is just going to benefit everybody, and we'll see where it goes. There's always going to be malicious guys. There's always going to be people that's going to do crap. It doesn't really matter, but it's something we need to think about, going forward. Because at the end of the day, the problem is, I do look at AI as that event. Same thing as the tire or the starting fire, the locomotive, the printing press. That whoever controls it, it's kind of like I used this analogy before. It's kind of like having a functional iPhone in the 1800s, and the 1800s is us, and suddenly you get the power. So sounds like He-Man. I got the power, or whatever. Anyway, I don't know why I thought that, but yeah, to your point, it's a much bigger, deeper discussion, and there's quite a few different people talking about it. It's interesting from my perspective, and my question is kind of my question that I got for you, which we actually need to start because we're in 35-minute point. Kind of going to lead into it, but why don't you ready to do the questions
Yeah,
or?
let's do the question. So let's introduce this so everybody knows. Every week, unbeknownst to either, right? So Henry's going to come up with a question to ask me. And both of us have been technical geeks for many years, so it could be a stump the chump technical question. It could be a question like the one we just discussed, an ethical question, or it could just be, something weirdly, bizarrely strange that one of us is like entertained by. You just never know because honestly, I never know from week to week what I'm going to ask. So we're going to do that segment at the end of the show, which we're coming up on. So go ahead, Henry, your question.
Me? Oh,
Yeah, you go first.
I'm gonna do a little bit a Verizon type of question, and I don't want you to,
Okay.
obviously, you're not gonna give away any secrets or anything. I'm just curious. That's nothing to do with Verizon per se. I'm genuinely, like, at the tether or whatever you want to call it, wondering, really, really, really wondering what's going to be. Obviously, people like Apple and Samsung, and then you have the other hardware manufacturers are all thinking about how do I fit a certain type of functional LLM on the phone so this way I can get things done. But the form factor, it's going to change. And so from my perspective, where do you think, what's the form factor of a new phone going to be, let's say 12 to 24 months from now? Or is it we're going to be wearing, the humane pins or whatever? So I'm kind of curious from your perspective, to forget about the pins for a second, because we know people are trying all that stuff. I really am interested in the phone. What's going to be my iPhone 18 that I'm going to be buying from your perspective that's going to help me achieve what you and I discussed with regard to AI being there for me? Is that a good question, or is it you
Oh,
have an
that's a
opinion
great
on it?
that's a great question. I mean, so first of all, Taiwan Semiconductor and Intel have both announced that the 3 nanometer and the 2 nanometer chips are coming. 3 nanometers are in production now. In fact, Apple just announced this week the M4 chip, which is based on the 3 nanometer chips. Right, smaller.
You froze, Scott.
Oh, sorry. Oh, well, there we go. Well, we got at least one error in our
I love it.
first
It's
question.
AI. They don't want you to talk.
Yeah, that's right.
Isn't that interesting? You started talking about this stuff and suddenly you froze. Anyway,
Yeah, there you go. And
okay.
it's an
So
editor. But anyway, they have this new iPad that's 5.1 millimeters thick. It's the thinnest Apple device that has ever been released, and it's the iPad Pro, one of their biggest tablet devices, the iPad Pro. So, it's just, to me, it's incredible. The things are getting smaller and screens are getting bigger. But I think
Yeah, but it's
there,
different with regard to the most powerful LLM that could fit on that particular device. How would it's we're talking
well,
about
it depends upon what you're going to use it for, though. I mean, if your goal, right? So let's talk about what is the value proposition of a local LLM running on a cell phone.
I can
Well,
answer that question. Simple to me.
go, please go ahead.
It's to be able to control my life and have everything there, even if I'm disconnected. I want to be able to have that, not only to the transcription, but seeing what I see, feel, listening to what I hear, and able to actually connect it all together with my financial statements, my personal life, whatever, and and guide me in a way that's almost so unobtrusive through my foster grants or whatever glasses I'm going to be wearing, and everything's just there. But it needs to be, to me, I can't be always connected for a lot of different reasons. Maybe for security also. If I didn't think about that part because somebody's going to be sure as hell stealing that data and marketing it, right? If you think about it. So, anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead. That's what
No,
I would
no,
want.
it's the concept of the personal digital assistant, right? Which is the dream state for an on device AI, is the ability to give you that true digital assistant, right? So, yeah, no, it is, oh, to live in interesting times right now. I think we're not there yet, but to finalize your answer, I do believe the future of the cell phone is going to be distributed, right? So today, and you mentioned, actually, you talked about the Humane Pin. There's the Rabbit device. You have your cell phone. You have your AirPods, right? You have your watch on your wrist, right? All of those things are connected,
And
right?
other things I can't mention right now, but go ahead.
Right.
Keep talking.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah. We
okay.
don't want to go there. We want to keep it G-rated.
Okay.
Family podcast.
Yeah.
But all of those things are connected. But they all have a certain capability in terms of processing. Like the newer Samsung Watch and the newer Apple Watches, they have processing power and capacity on the watch. The phone has capacity, but so do all those other devices. So let's talk about kind of what that would look like in the future. I think what you're going to have is a pen. Right. Well, so first of all, there's a concept in Bluetooth called a PAN, personal area network, right? In your PAN, you're going to have devices, right? Now we're going to have to do Bluetooth 6 or Bluetooth 7, but you did give me a couple of years. So, Bluetooth 6, Bluetooth 7, so we have security. So I can't blue jack that PAN of yours, right? I can't go and literally steal your devices, right? But that, I
That's
think, is going
interesting.
to be the future,
And I
right? The
think there's going to be
distributed
battery
cell phone.
advancements to be able to
Yeah.
carry the load
Well,
too.
you'll have a battery in one pocket that's literally, there'll be pants will now include or pants or skirts or dresses or whatever you're going to wear. No, no disparaging on you there, Henry. Whatever you
Thank
want
you.
to wear, right? There'll be a pocket sewn in that battery can just slide in, and the battery will support this concept of wireless charging, right? So you'll be able to have one or two batteries, one in each pocket, maybe something like that. It'll be wireless charge in your pan, so everything can use it. You'll have an outbound. You'll have the ability, I don't know, click on your chest
Jeez,
and
thank God I don't want to have any more kids. Ooh,
yeah,
but go
yeah.
ahead. I get
Well,
your
yeah.
point. So yeah,
Woo. Anyway, oh, that's
yeah,
a scary thought. Yeah, I didn't think about that part. But
so,
anyway, so to answer your question, that's what it is. Now, my question for you.
okay.
All right.
Oh boy.
So I thought about this one the other day when we were talking, and I thought, nah, I'm saving this one. Um, right. So you have been in the Lotus Domino world for, I'm pretty sure, close to a century now. I no, I think it's really close to 100 years.
Yeah, it's Oppenheimer and I actually invented it, but I didn't want to talk about it. But go ahead. So, oh, you're freezing again. Hopefully you're gonna freeze because this is good. I don't know where the question is anymore, but he's completely
All
frozen.
right.
Okay, no, you're coming back. So,
I'm not frozen anymore. I'm
okay,
not
go
frozen.
ahead.
All right. So here's the question. You've
Yeah,
been, you've been around Domino, and
yeah,
guys, I'm kidding. I know Henry. I know Henry's not over a century, but you've been in it for a long time, right?
yeah,
I mean, I met you. You already had a career in the Lotus
yeah,
Domino world when I
yeah,
met you guys. So, and
yeah,
I started using binary tree.
yeah.
So here's my question. Do you think there will be a domino in 24 months?
Oh boy, that's an interesting question because I literally was talking to a customer about this about 30, 40 minutes ago. I can actually validate it a bit. The answer is absolutely, is as long as there's licensing revenue to be gotten by HCL for the product. Let me be very direct. Um, there was in Belgium just a couple weeks ago. There was Microsoft Domino Engage, which is primarily kind of like what's left of Lotusphere. Lotusphere, if you remember, Scott, we had 20,000 people. This had about
Oh yeah.
300. And if you look at that ornate room they sat in, they had like gray hair. It looked like a funeral, like one of those funeral for a prince or a king. But that's not the point. The point is really what came out of it. Um, HCL was not even able to talk about any kind of AI strategy for Domino. Here's the thing. I think my muffler's got an AI strategy. I mean, every technology company has an AI strategy. They did not say
Oh
one
yeah.
thing about it. They should give you an answer with regard to where they're heading. The rules are, from my perspective, and this is my opinion, they're very straightforward. As long as there's recurring revenue coming from this product, they will support it just enough to be out there, and that's fine as a business model. Look, they're not going to recreate Domino. They're not going to suddenly make it an incredible shining local platform. God knows they've tried, but they're going to support it enough for people to be there. Eventually, look, let me ask you a question. Is there still COBOL out there? Yeah, there is. Or is there still AS400s out there? Yeah, there is. I think your question is a little bit different. I think your question is kind of like, no, Henry, is it ever going to be a viable product that people would want to use? Um, and I'm torn, dude. You know, the younger Henry a couple years ago would say it's dead, it's gone. I even used to imitate the dead parrot sketch from Monty Python. You know, the whole it's a good,
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about, right?
oh
Um,
yeah. Oh yeah.
but I just had a customer say how happy they are with the product that is still running. It's a self-contained ecosystem for somebody that can manage security, administration, and so on. It doesn't fail. Um, and maybe I've gotten a little older, a little bit of a soft spot. I still don't know any technology that could fill all the check boxes that Domino did before. It still does to a certain extent. So it's kind of like uh, a catch 22, or kind of like back and forth a little bit. Business wise, I think the product is dead, but from the perspective of usability, functionality, reliability, it's still a good product. It's kind of like an old beat up Toyota that just keeps running. Sorry if I didn't answer your question.
No, you did.
You
You did.
know,
Actually, no, you did. No, you have. Anyway, well, Henry, as always, a delight to talk to you, and I'm looking forward to our next conversation. So, for those of you, this is our first episode. We will
yeah,
do another one.
can you pay the cable company? Can you get like a better connection? I don't know what's going on. You know, you got to feed the
I know
hamster
what's
in
going
that
on.
little thing. That's so
No, yeah, the cable companies just not on. They're not on my happy side right now. But the whole home Wi-Fi, yeah, as long as your home is one room, yeah, they're rock solid. If you're outside of one, you have more than two rooms in your house, so you got a bathroom, kitchen, and a room. Yeah, you're screwed. But neither here nor there. Anyway, we'll be back. Well, what
yeah.
is this? This is May,
This
so we'll have another episode in June, and then if there's a pickup and a lot of people like it, we'll do it more often. So
Yeah,
thank
this
you,
is great,
Henry.
Scott. Thank you, and thank you
Yeah,
for the advertisers. Next one will be Microsoft and Google, so we'll get them on
yeah,
board.
there we go.
Okay, bye everybody. Thank you. Bye, Scott.
Bye.